Okay, so in this section of the video, we'll be talking about the game's graphics. Now, when it comes to video games, graphics are literally like the most important thing in video games. Like, you need to make sure you have good graphics and excellent presentation, and the game needs to look really, really good if you want a successful game. And I think I know exactly what to do for Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, it's pretty obvious that games these days are now using 3D graphics or 2.5D graphics, like stuff like that. But this is where I make an exception to this, because we've been having 3D graphics in games for like almost like what, a decade or something, or like I think a decade and a half. And I think it's time we go back to the 2D old school art style graphics. Like, most games now in today's time, like even if they're old and new, they instead of using 3D, they use 2D graphics. And I think for this game, we need to go back to doing that. A YouTuber who calls himself Chief Red Star, basically he made his own series of Marvel vs. Capcom 4 videos, and from his perspective, and as I was watching his videos, this isn't exactly what he said, but he did say something like this: wouldn't it be nice if the next installment could go back to using the old school 2D graphics? And I have to agree with him, because it would be nice to go back to the old roots, because games nowadays, they be going back to their old style graphics and old roots just to win the fans' hearts back. Or some new games that usually comes out, they be using the old style 2D graphics. Like games, like fighting games nowadays, like there are some that are really good that keeps their awesome 2D art style. Like, for example, Skullgirls and Blaze Blue. Those are the two games that uses 2D graphics. But in all personal seriousness, I think maybe instead of like using the 2D sprites from the old games, let's go ahead and make all the characters and the graphics 2D hand-drawn sprites. Now, many of you may be confused and be like, wait, hand-drawn? How is that going to work? Well, trust me, it does work, especially when it comes to like low-budget, free Newground games like Henry Stickmin or Friday Night Funkin'. Those games basically uses 2D hand-drawn graphics, yet they look so good and nicely polished. So I think it would definitely work for this game. But the way how it's gonna work, it's not just gonna be 2D hand-drawn graphics, but the art style is gonna be what makes them unique and distinct. Like, let me go ahead and explain. I think for the Marvel characters, their art style and graphics should be drawn in like one of those like late or early 2010 cartoons that they were featured in. Now, how would this work? Well, I mean, it would work. Like, for the Marvel characters, it would totally suit them. That they could be drawn in like those early 2010 like cartoons, like the visual styles that they would be drawn in. It would suit them real well, especially from like cartoons that had this type of art style, like the Invincible, the Boondocks, and even the DC cartoons. Still don't understand where I'm going at with this? Well, if you take a look at this screenshot that I have, for example, well, it's not really a screenshot, it's more of an edited photo. I basically screenshotted all these characters and this type of art style, so that way you get a brief understanding of what I'm talking about. Like, if you pay attention to the way these characters are drawn in the cartoons, like, don't you think that they should definitely be designed like this for the game? Like, seeing them fight in this type of art style, it would totally suit them real well. As for Capcom characters, I think that they should be, and I am not joking with this, they should be having a straight up anime art design. Now, I know this is where most of you will be questioning, okay, the 2010 cartoon art style for Marvel, I can understand, but why anime for Capcom? Well, let's think about this. Like, anime originated from Japan, right? And Capcom is a company that was founded in Japan. You see where I'm going with this, right? I think it would totally work out because like there's no way that it can't work, because if you think about it, most of the Capcom characters and franchises that they were featured in, they had this type of anime art style, or they had their own anime adaptations. Need some examples? Well, see these images that I have right here on the screen? This is of all the characters drawn in this type of art style in their anime adaptations, or in games that had cutscenes where they use this type of art style. I think this is totally what they should be using for the Capcom characters, because most of the Capcom characters, especially when it comes to the funny and goofy looking ones, it would totally fit well with them, since, you know, it would help them with their expressions and their personality, and it would suit them well. And many of you are also going to be like, psh, okay, this will never work. There's no way they can make graphics as good as this. Well, that's where you're wrong. If you remember this company that's called Udon Entertainment, they're the ones who basically worked with Capcom before. They made the artwork for most of Capcom's video games. They did some of the artwork for Marvel vs. Capcom games. And they're the ones responsible for making the graphics for games like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. So if you think about it, this would totally work. So having the Marvel and Capcom characters drawn like this, I think this is totally what they should be going with when it comes to graphics. And it'll definitely bring fans to their hearts. And so yeah, that's all I have to talk about for today. I finished talking about the stages and the graphics for this game. Alright, part 4 will be coming out very soon, and other videos will be coming out soon. Anyways, if you like this video, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in the next video and the next part. So, peace out, everyone.